A top general dies, another one vanishes, and Xi Jinping reappears, looking more like a puppet than a president. However, his daughter Xi Mingze is suddenly in the spotlight. We're gonna talk about that later. Welcome to China Decoded. I'm Aric Chen, Senior News Anchor, Editor-in-Chief of Global News and Newsweek, and a mentor to an international policy think tank. Let's get it started. This week, the U.S. and China held trade talks in London. On Tuesday night, the two sides reached what they called a framework agreement in principle. But on Wednesday, the markets, both Wall Street and China's A shares, barely reacted. Why? Most investors are still cautious about where this deal is really going. Here's my take. This negotiation wasn't about resetting U.S. China relations. It was damage control, plain and simple. The big picture hasn't changed. Competition between Washington and Beijing is here to stay. No one's talking about long-term cooperation anymore. This is just a short-term tactical pause, a cooling-off period, not a change in strategy. The decoupling trend is still moving forward. China's lead negotiator, Vice Commerce Minister Li Chenggang, told reporters in London that both teams will now go home and report back to their leaders. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, U.S. President Donald Trump posted, saying that the deal still needs final approval from him and from Beijing's top leader, Xi Jinping. And that's where things get interesting, because the real question is, who is actually in charge in Beijing right now? Is Xi Jinping still calling the shots? Can he even sign off on this U.S. China deal? That's the questions we're going to talk about today. First off, I want to say thank you. Thanks to all of you who've subscribed and tuned in. I truly appreciate your support. And to those of you who've left comments, I've read so many of them, and honestly, they really moved me. Your words give me the motivation and the confidence to keep the show going. So once again, thank you. Alright, let's start with the very suspicious death of a top general, Xu Qiliang. At the funeral of Xu Qiliang, who was former vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, Xi Jinping's wife Peng Liyuan was a no-show. And on the wreath lineup for the event, her name was completely missing. And Xi Jinping's private banquet with Belarusian President Lukashenko, and once again, Peng Liyuan, China's first lady and the supposed hostess, was nowhere to be found. However, Xi Jinping and Peng Liyuan's daughter, Xi Mingze, is suddenly in the spotlight. On June 8th, Belarusian state media reported something unusual. Belarus's first deputy prime minister Stupkov revealed that President Lukashenko had a dinner not just with Xi Jinping, but with Xi's entire family. And here's the real headline. Stupkov quoted Xi Jinping himself saying, "My daughter will be having dinner with the foreign leader for the very first time." Their daughter is Xi Mingze, born in 1992. She studied at Harvard and has rarely appeared in public until now. So why now and why her? Xi Mingze has always been a mystery. No one even knew what she looked like. Just like the children of other dictators, many of them are kept highly secretive. Kim Jong-un's family, for example. For someone in Xi Jinping's position to bring out his only daughter to dine with the foreign head of state, it means she no longer enjoys the same level of secrecy and protection. She's now just another face at the table. It's possible that Xi Mingze's appearance was meant to push back on claims she's still in the U.S. Maybe she's returned to China after her father lost real power, unable to go back overseas. It's worth noting, before meeting Lukashenko on June 4th, Xi Jinping hadn't been seen in public for 2 weeks. The meeting didn't happen at the usual venues like Diaoyutai or the Great Hall of the People, but rather inside Zhongnanhai, the Communist Party's top leadership compound. That alone raised eyebrows. Normally, top leaders' children never appear at diplomatic events. If Xi Mingze showed up, that suggests it wasn't a formal state event, but a private family dinner. And that may tell us something important. Xi Jinping might no longer have the authority to represent China in official talks with foreign leaders. So let's get back to the first question. What's going on inside Zhongnanhai, the heart of China's leadership? Does Xi Jinping still have power to sign off the deal? Or someone behind him is calling the shot? It's not just us in the media asking tough questions. World leaders want answers too. U.S President Donald Trump has been trying to get Xi Jinping on the phone and even wants to visit Beijing. Meanwhile, Putin sent Lukashenko to China, trying to figure out what's really going on behind closed doors. Today's episode is a bit longer than usual because there's a lot I wanted to share with you. I hope you don't mind, and I'd love to hear what you think. Feel free to leave a comment and let me know if this format works for you. Now, let's talk about Xu Qiliang, former vice chair of the CCP's top military body, the Central Military Commission, just died suddenly, and a lot of people are saying this wasn't just natural causes. His funeral was held on the morning of June 8th in Beijing. All 7 members of the Politburo Standing Committee showed up, including Xi Jinping. But what's raising eyebrows is the current vice chairman of the military, He Weidong, who's already been out of the public eye for a while, didn't even send a wreath. He was the only Politburo member who didn't. Xu Qiliang died of an illness right there in Beijing at 12:12 p.m. on June 2nd, at age 75. But here's the twist. As early as May 31st, someone on social platform X had already posted that Xu Qiliang had died and claimed it actually happened back on May 28th. Then a veteran Hong Kong journalist Ma Ling posted on social that Xu Qiliang had a heart attack while jogging in his courtyard. He was rushed to the hospital, but doctors couldn't save him. But online, the speculation kept growing. Some said he died in unnatural circumstances. Others claimed he was scared to death during Xi Jinping's ongoing purges in the military. His death is probably tied to the military crackdowns. Assassination? Unlikely. Why? Because Xu and Xi were close. Xi, what a name. Well, let's put their full names. Xu Qiliang helped Xi Jinping take down a lot of political rivals. But there are 2 possible scenarios. First, Xu Qiliang might have been scared of retaliation. That kind of stress could have triggered a deadly heart attack. Second, it could be linked to Zhang Youxia. The guy really controls the military now. If Xi Jinping was trying to use Xu Qiliang to rebuild his hold on the armed forces, maybe Zhang Youxia saw it coming and made a preemptive move. Xu Qiliang was born in March 1950, rose through the ranks as an Air Force general, and held a long list of top positions, and yes, even a member of the Politburo. He stepped down in March 2023, but before that, he was one of Xi Jinping's go-to people in the military. There's even a photo from back in 1991 floating around. It shows Xi Jinping when he was party secretary in Fuzhou, standing front and center next to Xu Qiliang. Let me show you the picture. This picture shows their connection started decades ago, and that Xu Qiliang had been politically loyal to Xi Jinping ever since. And Xu Qiliang's funeral, Vice Chairman He Weidong was nowhere to be seen. He didn't show up and didn't send a wreath. In footage from CCTV, the camera pans over a row of wreaths with Politburo member names. There were 23 names in total, 1 short. You guessed it, He Weidong. His name should have been there, so He Weidong might not be a Politburo member anymore, which means he's not on vacation, he's not off planning anything big, he's either in serious trouble or he's dead. And here's the kicker. Commentator Cai Shenkun had already claimed on May 24th that He Weidong died on May 2nd at the 301 military hospital. Let's talk about the bigger picture now. Because Xi Jinping's inner circle is falling apart, and the military is paying the price. In 2023, Xi Jinping suddenly ousted both commanders of the rocket force, people he personally picked. Then, no longer after, his defense minister Li Shangfu was removed too. In November 2024, another longtime Xi Jinping ally, Miao Hua, was suspended. Then, after the big political meeting this March, He Weidong, one of the two top military vice chairs, vanished. This whole wave of purges is believed to be directed by the other vice chair, Zhang Youxia. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Xu Qiliang, He Weidong, and Miao Hua were not just close to Xi Jinping. They were like family in the political world. So, when Xu Qiliang suddenly dies right in the middle of a probe into so-called He Weidong and Miao Hua political clique, you have to wonder, was this connected? What we're seeing is the collapse of Xi Jinping's entire group of military loyalists. And that collapse has created deep internal tension inside the CCP's military, leaving it badly weakened. Now, just when things looked like they couldn't get even more chaotic, Xi Jinping disappears from the public eye for 2 weeks. And then, out of nowhere, he reappears on June 4th, meeting with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. But people started noticing something weird about this meeting, from the location to how it was handled to what was said. China's official media Xinhua reported that the two leaders met at Zhongnanhai. Quick context, Zhongnanhai is the central compound for CCP leadership. But this wasn't the usual place for meetings like this. Back in December 2023, Xi Jinping met Lukashenko at the Diaoyutai State Guest House, the standard venue for receiving foreign leaders. So why the change? At first, Xinhua only put out a short text article, no photo. They didn't add one until later. It was actually Belarusian state media Belta that broke the story first, complete with a photo of the meeting, and the report way more detailed than China's. According to Belta, the two had a working tea party, followed by one-on-one talks and a friendly lunch. Xi Jinping reportedly told Lukashenko, "My office is next door. This is the first time I've hosted you here." Lukashenko replied, "You invited me to your home, which makes this even more special. I'm grateful and I will be waiting for you at mine." Not a formal state visit, not even an official one, just something else. Look, when a president from the friendly country visits, the top leader is expected to receive them. But this meeting, from the setting to the format to what was said, something was clearly off. This visit should have been the formal state-level event. Instead, it was turned into this strange private meeting, almost like they were hiding something. Why not just hold it at Diaoyutai? Belarus probably asked for state visits, but maybe Xi Jinping wasn't in a position to host it as head of state, so they had to improvise. There may be someone even more powerful than Xi Jinping now, calling the shots behind the scenes. And remember, President Trump has been pushing to speak directly to Xi Jinping, which in itself could be a test to see if Xi Jinping is still the guy in charge. The weird silence around these generals, their awkward foreign reception, it all adds up to the situation where Xi Jinping may not be running the show anymore. Also, Lukashenko arrived in Beijing on June 2nd, but Xi Jinping didn't meet with him until 2 days later, and there was no welcoming ceremony. That's not a small detail. It suggests serious trouble inside the CCP. It looks like Belarus was basically doing damage control for China, trying to make the whole thing sound warm and special with the Freeze family-style meeting. I think Lukashenko knew something was going down in Beijing, but he played along with the show. Meanwhile, the US and other Western countries are definitely watching this closely, gathering whatever intel they can. One more red flag. Xinhua never even reported the Politburo's May meeting. Now, this awkward visit just adds more fuel to the fire. If Xi Jinping's absence was just a health issue, then the CCP will have to move quickly to put a replacement in place. But if it wasn't health, then the situation's way more serious. It could mean Xi Jinping is being controlled or sidelined and isn't acting under his own authority anymore. The power shift in Zhongnanhai is almost out in the open. It's just a matter of when they finally pull back the curtain. At the same time, Xi Jinping's reappearance doesn't clear anything up. In fact, the photo with Lukashenko raises more questions. If Xi Jinping wanted to squash the rumors, he'd show up at a meeting where real decisions are made, like Diaoyutai. That's how leaders prove they are still in charge, right? This wasn't a family-style visit at all. Lukashenko didn't bring his wife or son. He brought government staff. This was clearly a working trip. I believe the so-called rumors are credible. Xi Jinping lost his real power a while ago. He might still appear at events, but only because he's being told to. Behind the scenes, it's CCP elders like Wen Jiabao and Zhang Youxia who are making the real decisions now. One insider source told me Xi Jinping started losing control as far back as April last year. He tried to fight back, even through the military, but failed. Now, he's just following orders. So what happens next? Will Xi Jinping step down? And if he does, who replaces him? The truth is, no one knows for sure. It will all depend on how the political power games inside the CCP play out. But here's the bottom line. If China's leader can't break free from the one-party communist system, then no matter who takes over, the real problems won't go away. There won't be democracy, no human rights, no rule of law, just more of the same, with a different face on top. The situation is still unfolding, and I want to know what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell. I'm Aric Chen. Thanks for watching China Decoded. If you are looking for more analysis on the latest developments inside the CCP, there's plenty of great content right here on my channel. Feel free to click and check it out. That's it for today's episode. I will see you in the next one.